Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is early, you guys. It is 7 p.m. and I'm at the post office. I'm leaving. I went to go pick up a package that I have here, so I have a little notice for it, but the line was so long. I could not believe it was so long at 7 o'clock. So I was like, forget it. I'm not gonna stand in this line and wait today. I got so much done today, so early in my life. I feel like I was so productive today. And I got up and hung out with the dogs. I did my meditations and everything early today. And then cleaned the house, did a bunch of like business stuff around the house that I needed to do. And then I went and I got my coffee and I did, is it out of focus? Okay, there. I got my coffee and I did a review. I did the Joker Frappuccino, which you can go check out that review and see what I thought. And then, before that, I filmed a video for my Peter Monn channel. I had it all ready because I wanted to get everything done and ready to go because tonight is our home group night. I thought that was my phone ringing, but it's not. So it's our home group night, so I was like, I'm gonna get all this done, you know, early. And so then, because usually I'm like running really late and it's like up to the last minute and whatever. So I was like, I'm gonna get all this stuff done and then I won't have to be rushing at the last minute and I can like take a shower and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I knew this was gonna happen because it's fall break and Tanya, the kennel, is like totally full. And so I had texted her like earlier in the day, like at 3, and I was like, what time are you wanting me to pick you up tonight? And I didn't know if we had to pick up our friend too. And I didn't hear from her, and I didn't hear from her, and at like 5 o'clock, she called me, and she was like, don't be mad, but I'm not going to go to the meeting tonight. And I was like, that is totally fine. I said that I will just stay home, and Alex and I can watch American Horror Story, or go out to eat, or something like that. Don't even worry about it. And so she was like, okay. She was like, you don't care? And I was like, no, we haven't missed our home group in forever, it seems, except for, you know, like when we're out of town. So, she was like, I said, what are you going to do tonight? And she said, because I was going to see if she wanted to maybe go out to dinner with Alex and I. And I was going to see if Sarah wanted to go too. And she said, I think I'm probably just going to go home and collapse and relax because I'm so tired. She's worked like 10, 12-hour days every day this week. And, like for the last week. And, she wanted to get a new pair of running shoes because she like works in running shoes, you know, at the kennel. And then she said she needed to go to the grocery store. And I was like, well, if you want to go to the grocery store later, let me know. And she was like, are you going to go to Meijer? And I said, I need to go to Meijer. There's some things I want to get. Plus, you know, if we don't go out to eat, then I want to get something to eat at the Meijer or whatever, which is that way. But I'm going to go a full circle and come back so I can vlog for a little bit. And she was like, okay. She's like, I don't think that I want to go to Meijer. And I was like, all right. So, then Alex had been texting me and talking about how he was like, I'm so exhausted. I like the one night I get all my stuff done early. Nobody is like wanting to do anything. And so I was like, then I texted my friend Valerie and I was like, do you want to do something? She was like, I don't know, maybe. She was like, you know, let me know later what you're doing. I'm just hanging out or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, nobody wants to do anything. Melissa and Jason were busy doing something. So Alex came home and he was literally like just hanging out in the chair in the kitchen, like watching Pee-Pee eat. And he was like on his phone. And I was like, do you want to go out and get something to eat with Sarah? And he was like, he was talking to Sarah when he came in the door. And he was like, no, he was like, she doesn't feel very good tonight. And she's just like, she got fast food and she's sitting at home or something. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, well, do you want to go out and get something to eat? And he was like, well, I ate late. And I go, oh, he had like a Chipotle bowl, I think. And he was like, because he said he had Chipotle and he always gets Chipotle bowls. He was like, I ate late, I'm not really that hungry. I said, okay. I go, well, I guess I'll go to Meijer and I will go get something to eat at Meijer then to bring home. We can watch American Horror Story. And he was like, okay, thinking like, I think he was thinking, I don't even know that I'm gonna make it to American Horror Story. So, I don't know, like when I left, he was going up, he goes, I'm gonna go upstairs and get into bed and watch some TVs. I may come home and he may be asleep, so we'll see. So I am now going to vlog for a little bit, and then I am going to go to the Meijer And then tomorrow, and then that's it, I think. I'm gonna finish, I don't know how much time I have left on Adamsville. I listened to some of it last night, so I'm gonna finish it tonight, and I wanna start the chain. And then tomorrow, I have my training, and then I have a sobriety thing in the early evening, and so there's that. And then I don't have anything tomorrow night. I might do a live stream or something tomorrow night. I've got to figure out a costume to wear for this weekend. I want to do something kind of fun and different. I don't know. I need to go back to the Halloween store and just kind of like look around. So yeah, it's been a really good day. And the only thing I did not do was I wanted to do a booktube video today. But I was going to do a review, and I think I'm going to wait until I'm done with Now Entering Adamsville, and I'm going to review Now Entering Adamsville and My Friend Anna together. I think I'll just do like a driving vlog and talk about them and do those reviews together. So I'm going to do that tomorrow when I finish this book. And, last night, I also, when I got home, I read, I'm trying to read like 30, 40 pages a day of that Pumpkinhead's graphic novel. It's real cute. It's really cute. It's about this guy and this girl, and they work at this pumpkin patch, and it's like Halloween night, and it's their last year working at the pumpkin patch because they're both in college, and the guy's like real serious, and he's been like MVP of like this season every year except for one, and his friend is like, she's real fun, and it actually said that, like, in the back, I was reading, like, how they modeled, like, the drawings, and Rainbow Rowell gave the artist, she wanted, like, a young Paul McCartney, and then the girl is supposed to be, her name is Deja, and his name is Josiah, and, which I love that name, Josiah. I kind of like religious names, but I think Josiah is a really strong name, anyway. So the girl, whose name is Deja, is supposed to look like a chubby, that's what they said, chubby Gabrielle Union. And so anyway, she's like such a good friend to him, and he's had this crush on this girl, Marcy, for like 3 years, that works at the fudge shop. He calls her like the fudge girl. And so she's like, you're gonna go talk to her tonight. And he's like, no, I don't know what to say, and it's real funny. And then she isn't working at the fudge shop that night. She's actually working at the s'mores pit. And so he's like, will you go to the s'mores pit with me? And she's like, when have I ever turned down this? She's so mean. She's like, when have I ever turned down the s'mores pit? The whole thing is just so cute. It's like this pumpkin patch. It's like they have all these different areas, like the fudge shop, and they work in like the pie palace. And well, they're working at the pie palace that night because she gets their job changed so that they're like right across from the fudge shop. They usually work in the Succotash Hut, I think is what it's called. It's just real hilarious. And then there's like, the pictures are just fantastic, and they wear like overalls and flannel shirts, but it's just kind of very endearing. Rainbow Rowell just grabs my heart. She has such a way of writing these books with incredible characters that are just very endearing and very emotional, and I love everything she writes. So yeah, I'm loving that book. And then tonight I think I'm going to try to read a little bit of Hocus Pocus. I might do better on Spookathon than I've done on any readathon ever since I've been on BookTube. That would be crazy, wouldn't it? I didn't even know that that Lala was going to do Spookathon again. So I'm kind of surprised that I'm like taking it so seriously, because it was kind of like a last minute decision, you know? It's such a beautiful day in Indiana, fall day. It is 68 degrees. And it's just, there's like a light breeze outside. The leaves are beginning to change. It is so pretty outside. Tomorrow I have I already said that. I have my training, and then my personal training, and then I have my sobriety thing in the evening. My mom loved nights like this. Like, I talk about the windows being open, but Total Warrior, I've never heard of that. Some gym over there. I think it's like a mixed martial arts gym or something. But my mom did not like air conditioning. I mean, she liked air conditioning when it was really hot, obviously, and we were blessed enough to have air conditioning, you know. But my mom grew up not having central air. And so when they were growing up, she always just had the windows open, you know, like fans in the window and stuff like that. And our house sat back in this woods. And so, and like huge trees, like huge. I mean, it was like, you know, you couldn't see to the other side of the woods. And there was a creek that ran behind her house. And it was real cool, you know, even in like the hottest days of summer. So she would open the windows at night, and she loved it. And she would always say, you know, like Jackie said this on Roseanne one time, that it was like, you know, good to wake up like a little chilled because it's better for your body. So I was like, my mom used to always say that. So, she would open all the windows at night and just have, you know, fresh air in the house. Our house always smelled like really fresh. And there was this kind of potpourri that my mom used to buy and spray. I can't remember what it was called, but I loved it. My aunt used to use it too. I think they still make it. It was this bottle, and it was about like this big. It looked like a little hairspray bottle. And it was like this beige-ish color. It was like an upscale, like potpourri spray. And it was like this beige-ish bottle, like can. And then like the cap was like gold. And then it had kind of like viney flowers on it. And I don't remember what it was, but it smelled so good. And our house always smelled like that. Which is crazy when I think about it, because my mom smoked in our house. You know, back then, like, people didn't say stuff about, you know, people smoking in their houses and whatever. But like my mom, I mean, she wouldn't smoke a lot. My mom was never like a really heavy smoker. But I think back on that, how crazy that is. She wasn't like somebody that would just like get up and be smoking like first thing in the morning all through the day. She was never like that. Like, even when she was like watching a movie or the news or whatever, she would save like 2 cigarettes for a movie, and like through the duration of a movie, if she was watching it, you know, from like, my mom would watch like the nightly movie every night from like 9 to 11. She loved that. That's why she didn't get cable for years and years and years. She finally got cable. My aunt and uncle got it for her so that she could get a clear reception for the Oscars one year. They bought her a new TV. And they got her cable so she could have a clear reception, and for the Oscars. She was so excited. And but she would watch the evening movie, you know, on like ABC, NBC, CBS or whatever, Channel 59. I don't know what that was here in town, but from like 9 to 11, and it was Fox. That was Fox 59. And she would watch it, like whatever the evening movie was, and she would save 2 cigarettes, and then she would save 1 cigarette for the late night news at like from 11 to 11:30. And then she would go to bed typically, unless she was like staying up drinking. But sometimes my mom would stay up late and, you know, rent a movie and watch it. I think she did that more when I wasn't at the house. I know my mom, like from her telling me, but I also knew from when I would call her and stuff, her heaviest drinking occurred like when I wasn't there. So she would drink a lot, like on the weekends that I wasn't at the house, and or the nights that I was at my dad, you know, with my dad, or like at a friend's house or whatever. I have this one story, you know, like I talk a lot about my mom's drinking, but there was so many great times that I had with my mom too. And like I, you know, don't ever want to overshadow that. And I think my mom would want me to tell her story so people can realize that you too can get sober, and you can, you know, clean up the, you know, wreckage of your past with your kids and all that kind of stuff. Because I will say that I think a majority of the reason why my mom got sober, even though maybe she didn't admit it at the time, was for me. When she finally got some sobriety, you know, then she wanted to have that relationship with me, and she wanted to be that mom, especially since I was sober too. But one night she was like passed out in bed, and I don't even remember really how I got into the house. I think I ended up like breaking the door or the window or something in the back garage and like coming in that way. But she was like passed out, and I was supposed to spend the night at a friend's house. I would have been like 6th grade at this time, 5th grade. And I used to always wear penny loafers. You'll know why I remember that in a second. But I used to always wear penny loafers. Just like, I mean, even in the mud and everything. and jeans with penny loafers, or khakis with penny loafers, or shorts with penny loafers, whatever. But I like decided, like my friend and I got into a fight or something, and I was like, I decided to come home. And so she had been drinking that night. She was passed out in bed, and it was like 11 or 10 o'clock at night. I mean, it wasn't super late, but it was late enough. And he lived like one street over from me. And so like I would like hop his, like behind his yard, like there was a fence, and I would hop it, and then I would like be on my street, and then I had to like go through these people's backyard, and then I would be like on the cul-de-sac where we lived. And I couldn't get into the house, and it was dark, and I feel like it was kind of cold outside, like not like February, but it was like late November, early December. Because I can see it, and it was cold outside, and I was like in the backyard, and it was dark, and so we backed up to this woods, right? And we used to have a key that was like hidden on this ledge and back, but it was so dark, like I couldn't see it out there. I know that I don't know how, I don't remember how I ended up getting into the house, but anyway. I came inside, and like, she didn't have any of the floodlights on around the house, because we used to have all these floodlights around the house, and she didn't have them on because she probably, you know, passed out and went to sleep without doing any of that kind of stuff. So none of the lights on the outside of the house were on, and I went inside, and like I went in, and I went into her bedroom, and I like woke her up, and I was like pissed. Like I was like crying, screaming, and crying. I was like crying. Because I was so scared, you know. And I remember going in there and thinking maybe she was dead, and I wasn't really sure. And I mean, this is the time before cell phones. I wasn't going to go back to my friend's house and be like, I think my mom, you know, I can't get in, and whatever. And I remember she finally like woke up, and she was like out of being like passed out, you know. I like kicked the wall so hard, like next to her bed. Her bed was like up against this like window, and it was like in this like area that like was designed for there to be a bed there. It was kind of like this indentation, like this window like seat area, but it wasn't a window seat, but it was like where the bed was supposed to go. And I remember she kind of like woke up, and like, so like there was this wall like right next. So like if she was like here, there was this like wall that started here and went over, and the bed sat back into it. And I kicked this wall, I mean, so hard that my penny loafer stuck in there. I mean, it was like in the wall. And I remember just being like so pissed. And the next day, like I like woke up, and that penny loafer was like in my bedroom, and she felt so bad about that for years and years and years and years. I mean, even like after she got sober, she would bring it up when I had totally, you know, forgiven her and everything. And the thing is like, I don't think you can really explain to somebody that hasn't gone through it, like when you have a parent that is an alcoholic or an addict, you can't really explain what you live with. But the fear is not in, like if I came home and she was drunk, I could deal with that. Like I knew how to deal with that from a very young age. Like I was saying to a friend of mine the other day, she said something about her kids, she's sober, and her kids were like 6 and 8. How old are they now? They're like teenagers now. But she was like, yeah, I don't think they really knew. And I'm like, honey, they knew. Like they knew. They know something's wrong. They know mom's off. And she was like, well, I just, you know. And I was like, I'm telling you, I knew. You know, and the thing is the fear wasn't about like when my mom would be drunk. The fear wasn't about, you know, the volatility wasn't about, is that even a word? You know, like dealing with it or whatever. It was the not knowing. It was the not knowing if I called her from my dad's house, would I get regular mom or slurred mom? You know, when I came home, would I get regular mom making chili in the kitchen with Little House on the Prairie, or would I get drunk mom? And the thing is that my mom binge drank a lot, and so there would be 3 days in a row where it was horrible. And I think this is a lot because I think she suffered from major depression too. You know, I said I think maybe my mom had bipolar disorder. I don't know. You know, that I think that she drank a lot to self-medicate. Even though she was in extensive therapy for years and years and years, and then later she didn't go. But I I don't know, and I think she suffered from a lot of fear, but I know she suffered from a lot of fear. I mean, that was one of the major things we talked about. And so I think, you know, for her, she would say, I'm just, like, later as I got older, like in junior high and stuff, she'd say, I just hate being in this big old house by myself, like this big house by myself. I'm scared to death. I mean, the house I grew up in was a huge house, and it had full basement, and you could hear stuff like creaking in the basement, and it was like wood floors, and it was, you know, it was a creepy house. I didn't like being there alone. And so I think my mom was scared when, you know, I was gone and she would be there, and so I think she drank a lot because of fear. But like the fear for me was I never knew what I was coming home to. Like I didn't know if I was coming home to regular mom with, you know, Little House on the Prairie and chili dinner, or drunk mom. And the times that I came home, like during the week from school, to drunk mom were so few and far between. I mean, they really, really were. The majority of my mom's drinking really, really got bad. I would say towards the end of my high school and when I left for college. That was when my mom's drinking was the absolute worst. When I was growing up, I think my mom, because for her, it was so important for her, she could control it to some level, and it was so important for her being a mother. Like, she took that so seriously. Not that people that can't don't, but I'm just, you know, I think, like, she shamed and guilted herself so much for the times that she was drinking around me, you know, that she would, I think she would just hold off. The other thing is that, like, you know, my mom would have friends of hers that would come over and they would, like, drink and listen to music or whatever. You know, they go out for long lunches. And then my mom would come home and she'd keep on drinking when they went to their, you know, like, they stopped and went home to their husbands. And my mom didn't have a husband, and she would say that a lot. Like, I'm a single mom, and, you know, like, it's hard and whatever. I don't know. I think also, like, when we would go and stay at my aunt and uncle's house, like, for the weekend, those would be big drinking nights for my mom. We would stay there for a couple days on end. We would go there on, like, a Friday and not come home till, like, Monday or Sunday. Like, Monday morning, she would drop me off at school. We would stay there for, like, a whole weekend. And I think she just didn't want to be at home at the house, you know? And, but those would be big drinking weekends for my mom, because she knew that my Aunt Kathy was going to put meals on the table, that she was safe. We were ordering, you know, we would go out to eat, or we would order pizza. I would be, like, hanging out with Caroline and her friends, or I would be, like, you know, reading a book or watching a movie or doing my own thing. And I think she just knew, like, Peter's safe, you know, like, I'm safe. Like, that, my mom, like, and this is one of the things that was so consistent with her drinking and my drinking, was this idea of being safe. Like, it was really important for me, like, at the end, like, I would say the last year or two, like, I really didn't, I did drink a lot out, but I didn't enjoy drinking out as much as I liked being at my house drinking, where I could just stumble into the bedroom and pass out. Like, I just didn't really like, I just wanted to be home. I always just wanted to be home. And, when my dad found me, actually, after I had my accident, the night that I got sober, I was, like, stumbling around in the cold, walking across the interstate, and in boxer shorts and combat boots and a black leather jacket. And apparently all I was saying over and over again was, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. My dad said, though, it was really weird. He said it wasn't like you were talking about, like, home, like your apartment. It was almost, it stopped. I didn't know it was at the end. He said it was almost like you weren't talking about, like, your home, like your apartment, though. He said it was almost like you were talking about this, like, ethereal home, like some, you know, like, he was like, it scared me. He was like, I didn't like it. So, you know, I don't know. I think my mom just always liked to feel safe, and I think she didn't feel safe a lot, and that's why she drank. And I talk about her addiction a lot, but, like, her recovery means so much to me that I think that's why I talk about that as a reference point. You know, I sit in meetings and I hear people talk and share their stories about growing up in alcoholic and addicted homes, and how scary it was for them, and literally, like, their parents, like, drank every single day, like, a ton. I mean, I think my mom probably drank every day, looking back on it. Maybe she didn't, I don't know. But I don't feel like there were a lot of days that my mom didn't have like a glass of wine or a beer or something. She was a big beer drinker. She loved beer. And then she also liked these things called martinis for two, which were like, oh, the battery's gonna die. You know what? Oh my God, my other battery is, oh, and it's dead. It's in here and it's dead because I haven't charged it yet. Well, I'll charge when I get home. But my mom loved these things called martinis for two, and they came in a can, and they were like, I think my dad actually got my mom started on them like long time before, because my mom and I took the Amtrak train to Chicago one time, and this was when they were separated, and she was scared about taking the train, and he bought her like two of these little martinis for two cans, and I think that's how she got started on them. But they were like cheap liquor, and it was like two martinis, and they would come in a can, like a little small can, and then you just pour it in a glass, and she would like drink. That's how she would drink. She loved martinis too, and she would drink those, and I don't know. But I don't remember every night of my youth my mother being drunk. Like, I just don't, you know? I do remember her, like, towards the time when I would go to bed being... I mean, I always, like, to this day, when people get up in my face... And my mom liked wine, too. She drank a lot of wine. When people get up in my face and they drank white wine, that's one thing I really cannot stand, is the smell of white wine. Like, it really makes me sick. And it reminds me of those days. Like, when my mom would come and kiss me goodnight and tuck me in, and she would have, like, wine in her breath or alcohol in her breath. I just didn't like it. I mean, it's still to this day a real turn off for me. So... All right, listen, I'm going to stop this now because it's going to die in a minute anyway. And I can't believe it's flashing. I was going to vlog so much more before I went to the Meijer. Anyway, I will be back once I charge the batteries, guys. All right, I'll be back later. Bye. Okay, I'm back. Many moons later. It is 3:16 a.m. I honestly do not know how long I'm gonna last on this vlog. I wanted to finish, what do you call it, Adamsville tonight, now entering Adamsville. But I didn't think I would end up sleeping so late. I didn't think I would fall asleep at all, which I did. My husband and I, he was so sweet tonight, we both fell asleep early. And he like reached over and he was like, gave me a kiss on my cheek, and he was like, babe, he was like, you gotta get up, don't forget to vlog. And I said, oh, I'm not going to. That was at like 12. So anyway, I need to see how much of this book I have left. I think I have like I think I have like 2 hours or an hour. Let me see. I have an hour and a half. I have like an hour and like 40 minutes, an hour and 40 minutes left, something like that. Turn this down, hold on. So yeah, after I got done, oh, it's lightning in the distance. It is really windy outside. I don't know if we're supposed to have storms tomorrow or what, but it is like really crazy windy. Stuff is like blowing across the street. Blustery October, beautiful night. After I got done vlogging when my battery died, I was gonna go to Meijer and get some stuff and bring it home because we were gonna watch American Horror Story. And I was like, instead, I was driving past this Chinese restaurant called Mark Pies, and I was like, I'm kind of craving fried rice. And so I texted Alex and I asked him if he wanted some fried rice, and he was like, no, he had some stuff at home he was gonna make. He's been on this kick where he has been firing up chicken on the George Foreman grill, and then he mixes it with rice, and he makes like chicken, beans, and rice. I think he misses his mom's cooking, because that's like one of 3 meals that his mom makes regularly. She makes chili, she makes that, and then she makes arepas. And so he's been making that a lot this week. But anyway, so he didn't want any fried rice. So I went to Mark Pies, which is, we usually go to, Alex loves, oh, what's the one with the lettuce wraps that everybody, we have one by our house. Oh shoot, what's it called? Well, I can't think of it. I know everybody's shouting it right now on the screen, but the cheaper version of it is Payway. And, why I can't I think of what that Chinese restaurant is called? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's like the one that's owned by Cheesecake Factory. It's like it's kind of like upscale Chinese. It's nicer. It's like a chain. Shoot, why can't I think of it? Alex always wants to go there and I just don't love it. We used to go there a lot when we first started dating, but we hardly ever go there anymore because I'm always just like, it's just not my favorite Chinese place. And quite frankly, my favorite Chinese food is when you go to a place that's super cheap. So we go to Mark Pie's, which is like we go to Pei Wei, which is the express of, I swear to God, I can't remember anything lately to save my life. Not Panda Express, that's the express place. Somebody tonight I was talking to said that they love orange chicken, and I was like, you should try Panda Express. They have such great orange chicken. At least I remember that from when I wasn't a vegetarian. Okay, what is this place called? Why can I not remember? I was just talking about it tonight. Chinese food, let's see. P.F. Chang's. Alex loves P.F. Chang's. So Pei Wei, and if you don't know, like P.F. Chang's is pretty expensive. So Pei Wei is like the express of P.F. Chang's. And like you can go in there and basically you can get the same things they have almost at P.F. Chang's, but it's like the fast express. But I think it's still just expensive, the same as, you know, as it is if you go there. And so we'll go and I'll get like fried rice and spring rolls, and then Alex will get, I'll get like veggie fried rice and spring rolls. And Alex gets like, he usually gets like Mongolian beef and lo mein and then fried rice, and he takes one of them to work the next day, and it ends up being like $55, $60, it's like expensive as hell, $45, $55. So I went to Mark Pie's today. I forgot how cheap these places are. So I got a fried rice and brought it home, veggie fried rice. And then I got spring rolls. They were real small. They were like mini spring rolls, and I got like 8 of them. And then I wanted to try something that had some like, you know, like a little bit more substantial than just fried rice, which I don't know why I did this, because I knew I probably wouldn't end up eating it. So I wanted to try some tofu, which I don't usually love tofu, but when we went to this restaurant for Alex's grandma's birthday, Alex's cousin Nina got tofu and I liked it, this fried tofu. So I said to the guy, I was like, what would be best with tofu? And he was like, well, probably like the kung pao, like, which is usually with chicken, but you can get it with tofu. And I was like, okay. It was not very good. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't very good. But all of that and a large drink. Oh shoot, I left my large drink in the refrigerator. It came to $19. So I was like, that is a pretty good deal compared to, you know, when we go to Pei Wei. And yeah, it's really windy. You can see like the street signs are like swaying in the wind back and forth. Listen. So I came home, changed into like sweat shorts that I have on here, on now. And then we watched American Horror Story. And after we were done watching it, the dogs were so cute. Like Alex had Boo and Tucker on either side of him, and Pee-Pee was sitting next to me while I was eating, and they were just being so sweet. So after we watched American Horror Story, Alex like got up and started like turning all the lights off, and I go, what are you doing? I said, are you going to bed? He goes, yeah, I'm going upstairs. He goes, I'm going to finish watching this episode. He's watching Cable Girls, I think. He's like, I'm going to finish watching this episode of Cable Girls, I'm going to go to sleep. And it was early, and I was like, okay. So I came upstairs. He's like, what are you going to do? And I said, oh, no. I said, well, I'm going to sit outside and I'm going to read for just a little bit. It was still kind of like warm outside. I said, I'm going to read outside for just a little bit. And so I read like 50, 60 pages of that Pumpkinheads graphic novel. It's really cute. I was reading like 30 pages of it a day, so I would end it by this weekend, but I'm almost like, I'm halfway through it already. It's really adorable. And so if you're looking for a cute Halloween graphic novel, I would definitely recommend that. And so then I did that, and then I Oh, I talked to Tanya on the phone. Tanya texted me, she's like, what are you doing? And so I called her, and I was like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm hungry, I wanna go to IHOP and get some biscuits and gravy. And I said, oh my God, Tanya, I would have gone to eat with you because Alex didn't wanna do anything, but you weren't wanting to do anything. She's like, oh, I came home and I took a nap from work. She didn't get off work till late. She stayed since we didn't go to the meeting, and she worked late. And she was like, and I just fell asleep, and then I got up, and she was like, Eric's already eaten. She was like, so I was really wanting some biscuits and gravy from IHOP. And I was like, I'm sorry, I just ate. And she's like, that's okay. She was like, she wanted to go and get dog food or something at Meijer, and she was like, call me when you get up. And I said, okay. Well, the first time I woke up, I was like 1:30 or something like that. 1:30, that's when Alex told me to wake up to vlog. Then I went back to sleep for a little bit. So she would have been asleep by then. She goes to sleep by 12:30 or 1 usually. Sometimes she stays up later, but not usually on purpose. Like usually it's because she's watching a TV show or she's up doing something or whatever. So then, yeah, I just like, then I went upstairs and I like laid down with Alex and the dogs, and Boo Radley is so funny. He can never find like the perfect place, and Alex always like lays in bed. So Alex is on the, you know, the right hand side, I'm on the left hand side, and like Alex like puts the TV over, and so he really has like 2/3 of the bed when he's watching his computer. And so Boo Radley doesn't ever know where to go, and so he kind of like leans right up against the computer, and Alex was like, Boo Radley, he was like, you need to move, buddy. And so Alex was kind of like moving him a little bit, and Boo Radley was so tired. He was like, he just kept on doing that. He was like, because he didn't want to be where he was, which was situated between the two pillows, which is usually where he likes to sleep. And he was like, He's so funny. So yeah, so there was that, and maybe I'll go get a Diet Coke. So I've been drinking the rest of this coffee, but so I did that. Then I got up, and now I'm vlogging. People want me to tell ghost stories on here since it's Halloween. I was like, I don't, you know, I don't have a ton of ghost stories to tell. You would think that I would from all of my stuff through the years, but I really don't. I think if I start talking about it, I'll start remembering more. So maybe I'll tell a couple of them. I was like trying to think about it before I got on here. I was actually talking on the phone, but I think like the first, well, so when I was growing up, my dad always had dogs, and we had an Airedale, and my dad, where his house is built, is on a reservoir that is supposedly haunted. I think I talked about this on here before. And there are like legends that this town was like everybody was evacuated and they were taken out, like had to move out, and then it was flooded, right? And supposedly there's like a church underneath the reservoir in certain areas where it's like really, like where my dad lives is like supposed to be really, really deep. So my dad's on the water, and it's supposed to be really, really deep. And there's supposedly like a church steeple and stuff underneath there. Now I read some article, I think I actually looked it up on here and read it, because I was talking to somebody and they were telling me about it, and they were like, I mean, I've heard about it ever since I was like in high school, but I didn't know if it was true or not. And so I looked it up. I feel like it was maybe on here, but there supposedly were a lot of people that were like killed when they, or like that died in this, like when they flooded this out and put the city in there, that people that didn't leave, that they thought had left or whatever. And I don't know if that's true, but so when I was like in high school, so my dad moved into the house when I was 12, and because he moved in there the same year. Took him like, so he built that house too. My dad built that house with the same builder that built the house that I grew up in. And so it took him like 2 years, I think, to build that house. It's so funny because it's so built up out there now, and when I was, when I moved out there with when my dad moved out there was literally like 2 streets that had houses on it, and it was like gravel roads all the way out there in a bait shop, and now it's like all completely built up, and there's like, you know, all these houses out there. It's where like all the Colts players and Pacers live and stuff like that. But it wasn't like that when I was, we were going out there, and I remember my dad would like run out there from his apartment, and I would ride my bike, and we would go check on the house on the weekends and stuff like that. And both the house that I grew up in and the house, my dad's house, he still lives in it, are kind of spooky houses. Like, both of my parents really loved like English architecture, like old countryside, you know, like English houses. Like my house that I grew up in was like modeled after like a house in the Cotswolds. And so all the houses, like both houses had like window seats and slate floors, wood floors, and you know, just very like my dad's house has like a slate thatched roof, and you know, chimneys and fireplaces. Like my dad's house has a fireplace in the kitchen and in the living room and in the bedrooms, and fireplaces everywhere in the basement. And so they just very much look like old houses. I mean, even like from the day one that we moved in, it looked like an old house. But we had this like chandelier that like hung in the entryway when you walk in, and it's like just kind of like it looks like an old sconce, like like something that you would see like in a house in England or something. I mean, nothing like, you know, extraordinary. It's just like this like sconce kind of looking thing, and the light would flicker a lot. Well, my dad's dog would sit underneath it, and he would just look up at it and bark and whine like crazy. It was so crazy. And it would freak my stepmom out. Like, she hated being out there alone. I mean, he was a big dog and he was real protective and stuff, but like it freaked her out because, you know, he would just like, he would literally go underneath the light and just sit, and it would like flicker on and off, and he would just go underneath it, and he would be like, oh, and you know, dogs are supposedly really sensitive to like spirit life and things like that, supposedly. But the other thing that's really creepy about it is like our electricity out there would go off all the time. So my dad sits on like the end of a like private drive, and there's like he has like one neighbor to the left and one neighbor to the right, and they're like on this like short little private drive on like the end of the street that like juts out into the water. And so like where it is gets like bad electricity. So like anytime it rains, their electricity goes out. And so we would be out there like in the middle of a horrible storm, and you know, my dad would be on like some work trip, you know, out of town, and it would be my stepmom and I, and we would be like watching a movie on like a Friday night, and the electricity would go out. And you know, it was really scary, and there's huge trees and stuff, and yeah, it was just really scary. It was a scary house growing up in. My mom's was too, but like we had neighbors all around us, so it wasn't as scary. Like my dad's, any window that you looked out of, you didn't see any neighbors, because like our neighbors were far enough away, like on the property and there was like woods all around my dad's house that you didn't see it, you know. But there was always eerie stuff that happened out at that house. There was always just weird stuff that happened out there. So that was that. And then, well, this is kind of a weird story, but it's kind of an endearing story. So my grandma died around that same time when I was 12 or 13. I can never remember what it was. I said to Caroline, so I would have been 13 because Caroline was 16 at the time. She was driving. And, or she would have been 16 that summer. We talked about this not too long ago. No, she was 16 already, so I would have been 13 when my grandma died. Well, my grandma died in January. My grandma was like a really big part of our Christmas. You know, like she's the one that got up and made the turkey and the stuffing and she made everything. And my grandma would come and stay with us, my mom and I, on Christmas Eve. And then she would stay with us Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then, you know, she would go home the day after that. So she was just there, like, a lot. Like, our Christmas was, like, you know, big. My grandma was a big deal at our Christmas. actually waking up on Christmas mornings, this is so funny. So, you know, like I've joked a lot in videos about my grandma, like, you know, smoking a lot and drinking coffee, but she did. Like, I mean, my grandma smoked nonstop, and she, like, drank coffee, and she had this horrible cough. My grandma she had emphysema, and she had this horrible cough, and it'd just be like, and, so I would remember waking up, or I remember waking up on Christmas mornings, and, you know, it would be like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and my grandma would be like, you know, most kids wake up to like, okay, did Santa Claus come or whatever, which I did, but like my grandma, like I'd be like, wake up in bed and be like, oh, I wonder if Santa Claus came, and then I would hear, you know, and the house would smell like cigarette smoke and coffee, because my grandma had been up for like 2 hours drinking coffee and reading the paper. She would always sit at the kitchen paper, you know, or sit at the kitchen table, you know, and I'd go downstairs, and of course my mom wouldn't be up yet because she had drank a lot the night before, and my grandma would be like, go wake your mom up. I would go downstairs, and she'd be like, I think Santa Claus came, go wake your mom up. And so then we would have Christmas. But isn't that funny how we say that, have Christmas, you know, which basically means unwrapping presents. But that first Christmas after my mom passed away, or after my grandma passed away, we had a lot of snow that Christmas. And I remember my grandma always for Christmas, if you ask her what she wanted, she would just say she wanted a white Christmas, which is so weird, because like when people ask me what I want, I always just say I want a white Christmas. Like, there's just not anything I want, you know. I feel pretty blessed. I mean, if there's something that Alex and I want, we typically buy it, you know, so it's not like we want for a whole lot, and I feel really blessed that we're in that position, you know. So I'm always just like, I want a white Christmas. And my grandma used to say the same thing. And that Christmas Eve, it like snowed a lot. Like that, the 23rd and the 24th that year, it snowed a lot. Well, we had gotten like a fruit basket or a flower basket or something delivered to our house that was for our neighbors on Christmas Eve. And we were waiting for my aunt and uncle and my cousin to come for Christmas Eve dinner, which was always, like I said, very dressy for us. So, you know, I'm in like a little tie and shirt and stuff and penny loafers like I always wore, and we're waiting for them to come. And my aunt was like, will you take this basket over next door? So it's probably like 6 in the evening, it's dark outside, it's snowing, you know, there's snow in the front yard and whatever. So, you know, I put my coat on, and so like when you came out of my house, we had like a huge brick courtyard that like a lot of houses like in the Cotswolds had. It was like this huge brick courtyard, and then it had this brick sidewalk that went from like the stairs to the front door all the way down to like the street. And then on either side, on the left-hand side, we had these 3 crabapple trees. And then on the right-hand side, we had Korean boxwoods in front of all of the, it was a beautiful house. I feel like just so blessed to have grown up there. It was, even though it was a spooky, strange house, it was just a beautiful house to grow up in. I mean, when you grow up loving books and stuff like that, you know, and you're reading books about like, you know, somebody solving a mystery and sitting in a window seat, and you actually have a window seat, you know what I mean? Like, that has we had window seats with built-in bookshelves. Like, those things were really important to my mom. Like, she wanted all of that because she had read about that in books, you know? So like, in our living room, we had this, like, she had a secretary desk, the one that we still have in our house, and behind it, next to the fireplace, was like this window seat where she would read, and it had like a window that you looked at, obviously window seat, but then it had built-in bookshelves behind it and stuff. I loved that. But anyway, I would just sit there and look outside and stuff. But so, and to the right, we had this beech tree. And that was like where the electrical box and stuff was that we would sit on as kids, because that was like the home plate, like, of the cul-de-sac, which is where we would play baseball and kickball and all that kind of stuff. But the electrical box was right behind it. So it was easier for me just to like cut through where the beech tree was to my neighbor's house. And I was friends with like this one girl, because she was a year younger than me. So I took this basket over there, and when I was coming back, I like saw this image of my grandma like in our front yard, and I remember vividly that she had like the dress on that she was buried in, and I remember it was like a big deal about this dress, because my grandma hardly ever wore dresses. She always wore pants, and it was like my aunt and my mom kind of like argued over like what they were gonna bury her in, so they buried her in this dress. It was like her retirement dress or something, and I remember she was standing in this dress, and I saw her in my front yard, and I just stopped. And she was like kind of like floating in the snow. It was like very like transparent, and this is what I remember. I don't know, you know, maybe it was just optical illusion, or I made it up in my mind or whatever, but and then all of a sudden she was like gone, and I literally like panicked, and I ran around through the back of the house, went in through the back because I wouldn't go through like where she had been like standing, and I like ran inside and all this kind of stuff, and my mom never believed in any of that kind of stuff, and I just was completely like crying, and Grandma was out front, my mom was like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? So that was, I don't think I've actually ever talked about that on here. Maybe I have, but it was at the end, I didn't know it. But that was like one of the things that happened. What else? Well, when we were at the Baumeister Mansion, Fox Hollow Farms, doing the thing, I've talked about this on here before, but when we were walking down the stairs, I was talking to Melissa, and I thought she was still right behind me, and she wasn't. And I could hear somebody, I think that might even be on the vlog, and like I turned around when I got to the bottom of the stairs. I was talking to her because I could like hear her like creeping down behind me, or not like creeping, but like walking down, and she was like, I think still in the kitchen, or she was ahead of me or something. But like when I got to the bottom, I like looked back up, there was no one there, and I could have sworn there was somebody right behind me. That really creeped me out. That was really scary. Do y'all know the story about the paranormal experience in our house? Okay. I feel like I have a pretty good sense of like spirit energy and things like that when it's around. So the way that our house is set up now, it's different than it used to be set up. I came in one day and Alex and his mom had like completely changed all her furniture around, which was actually really good. It was when we had carpet still. So where like our dining room table is now, there used to be, well, the secretary desk was still there, and then when you would, and it had the chair that's in the kitchen, it had it like just leaning up against there, and then it had like this place where we kept all this firewood. I've got to get out a chimney sweep. We can't, like, our chimney, like, I tried to start it last year, and it just like smoke bellowed out into the house. So I don't know if like, I think they painted over it when they came and they painted our condos like last summer. So I've got to get somebody up there to fix it because I want to use the chimney. I can't believe it's October and I haven't had a fire yet. I've got to get on that. So there's a guy here in town that's like real famous, like chimney sweep. So I can't imagine that it would be too much money to have them come out there and do that. But anyway, so we used to have this table. Okay, like there was a couch that faced the fireplace, and then the TV faced like kind of angled that way, and then like behind the couch was a table that had like a bowl, like this like glass, like this really nice glass bowl, and it had like pine cones and stuff in it, and then we had like candles and picture frames on that. And it's actually the table that we now have like up against the bookshelf that has like all the pictures and stuff on it. It has my YouTube play button and all that kind of stuff on it. But that used to be behind this couch, which we don't have that couch anymore. We got rid of it. And this was before we had all the carpet taken out. We had wood floors put in. And so we had two lamps on this table, one on each side. And like they were plugged in underneath. So this lamp was like one of those lamps that you had to click, like on, off, like on, higher, highest, okay? And then off. Well, I had like checked the lamp earlier that day or something. Like we hadn't used it in forever. We never really did. And so it wasn't like it just like, you know, just like something could hit it, or it was like, you know how sometimes like lamps go, like if they're not really turned off all the way, they go off and on. So that night, Alex and I are upstairs in the bedroom and we're watching Paranormal Experience, and I think it was like, or whatever that movie's called. I don't like those movies, they make me nervous. And it was like, I don't really like scary movies of things. I mean, I like to watch them sometimes, but scary movies of things that really could happen really do scare me. That things that I think really could happen. I think that's why like the Halloween franchise is scarier to me than like the Hellraiser ones, because the Hellraiser ones seems so like far-fetched to me. But like the idea of a guy that's been in a psych institution that gets out and kills people, like yeah, that's scary to me. So, oh, I was gonna get a Diet Coke, wasn't I? Well, missed that. So, it was raining through here. It's really like wet. Alex and I are upstairs and we're watching this movie. And oh, this was at the time that like I had like an iPad that I like used a lot to like watch Netflix and stuff on. I don't have an iPad anymore, but I used it for a long time. Well, I have it, I just don't use it anymore. I had like the first generation iPad. It's so old at this point, but I used it a lot for watching Netflix and stuff. So Alex goes to sleep. Now, you know we have this like loft bedroom, right? That has like this huge window that overlooks like the living room. So Alex goes to sleep. We're like halfway through the movie and he's like, this is stupid. I don't want to watch this. And I'm totally scared to death. And if you've seen this Paranormal Experience movies or whatever it's called, like the one that we were watching, I think it was the second one. And it was where like stuff was like, they had cameras set up in their house and stuff was moving. I just got the weirdest feeling, you guys, about something, okay? So, I don't know why I just thought of this. I literally just had chills go through me. I had a company reach out to me and they want me to do a review of, what do you call it? Like monitoring cameras, like security cameras for the inside of your house. And they're like, we really want you to like show footage of like your dogs walking around and stuff like that. I just had this like really weird feeling, like what if I captured something moving on those cameras? Oh my God. So anyway, those should be coming in the mail this week. I'm reviewing those on my review channel. But anyway, so we were laying there in bed. Alex was fast asleep. He falls asleep like super quick. I could hear him, you know, like sleeping. He was like, so I knew he was asleep, you know, and I'm sitting there and I'm on my like Netflix and I'm just trying to find something happy to watch, okay? So that I can fall asleep and I'm not scared anymore or whatever. I'm just trying to find something happy to watch. And like 10 minutes went by or something. We were not downstairs watching TV. We were upstairs in the bedroom. We hadn't been downstairs for hours, okay? And literally out of the blue, the entire downstairs lights up. And I was like, I sat there for a second and I was like, Alex. And he was like, what? And I go, somebody is in our house. And this is not the first nor the last time that I've woken up Alex. Like I've heard sounds in the house before when I'm like, Alex, somebody's in the house, okay? And he's like, whoa, whoa. He like panics, right? And then he gets up and, Alex's way of dealing with it is storming straight through the double doors of our bedroom and going, whoever's in our effing house, get the F out, I'm coming down there right now. Like, this is his way of dealing with it. My husband has absolutely no fear, right? So, I'm like sitting there in bed, and I'm like, don't go down there. He's like getting dressed, and he's like, yes, I'm going down there. Who's in there? He's like, who? And he's like looking over the over the edge of the thing. He's like, who is in our house? Who is in our house? I literally, you guys, I was laying there 1 second, and it wasn't just like, it was almost like it clicked on, and it went from nothing to totally high, okay, in our house, this lamp. Oh no, this was the thing that was really creepy about it. I said to Alex, I said, that lamp, we had been vacuuming or something earlier, and I said, that lamp was not plugged in. He goes, yes, it is. This is what we got into an argument about it later. I said, that lamp was not plugged in. That lamp was not plugged in or something like that. So anyway, I did a whole video about it on my main channel. You can go watch it over there. So he goes downstairs and he goes and he looks everywhere and he's like, I'm gonna go look in the basement. I said, don't go in the basement. Oh my God, don't go in the basement. He's like looking everywhere. So I'm like now like dressed and coming downstairs. The dogs are freaked out, right? So he goes, so he's like looking everywhere. He's like, nobody's in the house. I'm going back to bed. I go, I'm calling the police. He goes, what? I go, I'm calling the police. He said, what are you calling the police for? I said, I'm calling the police. I know how this stuff runs, we had just watched like the remake of The Omen or something like that. I can't remember what it was, or The Entity. We had watched like The Entity or the remake of The Entity, and you know, this woman had gone to the police and all this kind of, which was based on a true story. I totally believe this stuff, you guys, just so. Anyway, so I called the police. He's like, I cannot believe you're calling the police. I don't want any part of this. And I was like, okay, but I'm calling the police. So I went outside. I said, I'm not coming back in the house until the policeman goes through the house and looks. He was like, you're crazy. So I went outside and the policeman came, and he was like, I said, we were laying in bed, we were, you know, had gone to sleep, and all of a sudden the light just went on, and I feel like somebody's in my house. And he goes, okay. So he looks through everything. He goes down the basement. He's literally in a flashlight looking behind everything down there, looking in like all the nooks and crannies. He looks through everything, checks the doors, checks the lock, security system, everything, right? He was like, there's nobody in your house. And I was like, okay. And he was like, do you want me to even fill out a police report? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, why? And I go, because I know how this stuff works and there needs to be a paper trail. I'm like real serious, right? I mean, it's funny now, but it wasn't funny at the time. And he was like, okay. And he goes, why don't you tell me what happened? And he's like, got his like, you know, pad out or whatever. He goes, why don't you tell me what happened and I'll write up the police report and then we can go over it. And I go, okay. We were like literally, I can remember this like it was yesterday. So I'm sitting there and I'm explaining it to him, and I'm like, you know, we were watching Paranormal Experience in bed and whatever, and then all of a sudden this light went on from downstairs, and I think, you know, that there was maybe like some, you know, paranormal thing that was going on in my house. And I remember he looked at me and he like closed the pad, and he goes, you don't want me to write this police report? And I go, yes I do, I know how this goes. I go, and then if more stuff happens, there won't be any history of it. He goes, you don't want me to write this police report? Alex thought I was such an idiot. So that was that. Nothing else ever came of that. And then what else? Well, one of the things that's weird to me is that like every once in a while, it doesn't happen very often, I'll walk into the house and it has a really distinct smell that is my mother. And I am a believer in spirit sense and the whole discussion of all of that, you know. But my mom had a cologne, and it was a cologne that I had actually bought her one year for Christmas. She wore Michael Kors, typically. It was like her go-to cologne, and she loved like Chanel and things like that. But this one cologne she wore a lot, and it came in like this white like plastic bottle that looked like a teardrop kind of, and it was called Zen. And it's really like a unique smell, and I don't really know I don't know that I've met anybody else that has worn this. I think I got it because way back in the day, a friend of mine, like, she wore it, and I thought of it when I was at the store, and that's why I got it from my mom. I don't remember who it's by or anything, but whenever I would smell that, like, and the Michael Kors, I always thought of my mom, because not a lot of people wore this Michael Kors for women either, you know? So every once in a while, I'll come into the house and I'll smell that, and I'll just be like, oh my God, like, my mom is here today. Like, it's the weirdest thing. And I also think it's weird that it's like present, like, I'll smell it, and then it's kind of gone for a little bit. But I'm really a believer, like, in feelings and things like that. My friend's mom, who took her life, I used to have feelings of her being around me all the time, and I would smell lavender a lot, and one day, like, I kept on just smelling lavender, like, the whole day, and it was the anniversary of her mom passing away. Okay, I had to stop the camera because I started telling some really personal things about that story that it was, sometimes I kind of forget that I'm on camera, right? I feel like I'm just talking to, like, you know, one of my friends or whatever. But anyway, I was smelling lavender a lot that day. And so, like with epilepsy sometimes, you smell, like some people that have seizure disorder, like they have weird smell things that happen to them. It always kills me when I drive by the gym and people are here at like this time in the morning. My God, you are so good for being, oh, she sure is running right there in the gym. She's probably like, why is this person driving by looking at me? Anyway, I'm getting motivated is what I'm doing. But anyway, this is probably when I should go work out. That whole day I had been like smelling it and whatever, and I was with Tanya and my friend later, and I said something and my friend like panicked. Or not, she didn't panic, she like freaked out, and she was like, oh my God, she was like, that was my mom's like favorite scent in the entire world, and you know, blah, 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 and that's why we like, they did something with lavender at like her funeral or whatever. So that was weird. But I don't know, like, as far as like ghost stories, I'm trying to think. When I was in high school and stuff like that. I don't know if I've ever told this story in here. I think I have actually, but well, my friends used to play tricks on me, okay? So, like, if I was staying at my dad's house for the weekend, like, this would have been a good night for them to play a trick like this on me. Like I said, when I was growing up, where my dad lived was not like, there weren't a lot of people that lived out there. It wasn't highly populated. And I would take literally country roads out to my dad's house. Well, one time, like, my friends, like, we must have like parted ways, like at some, like, I can't remember what we were doing, but then they like drove ahead of me and they knew like what street I was taking, and they like put this tree down in the road. I couldn't get around it without having to move it. And then all of a sudden this car like creeped up on me, and oh, it was a Jeep Wrangler. It was all gray metal. It was beautiful. This car, like, I could see it, like, coming down the street, like, real slow behind me. And so I was, like, sitting in the car, like, do I get out? Do I get out? I don't want to get out, but should I get out and move this tree? Like, what else am I supposed to do? Or I can turn and I can go back the other way. But if I turned and went back the other way, I would have had to, like, gone really far around the other way, right? And then it would have taken me so much longer to get home. And I didn't want to do that, but I was afraid to get out and move this tree as well. And the tree wasn't, like, the whole road, but it was like enough that like I would have, like, I probably could have driven over it, but I didn't know if it would damage my car or not, you know what I mean? So I'm sitting there in my car, and all of a sudden this car like starts creeping up like the street behind me, and I'm like, oh shit, like, what do I do now, right? And so, oh, there's the train. I want to watch that movie, Something Wicked This Way Comes. I used to watch that every Halloween, and I haven't watched it. So anyway, this car pulls up behind me, like 30 feet behind me, and just sits there. And I can't see, because it's like they're like far enough back that I can't see. And then they like honk their horn, and I'm like, holy shit, like, I don't know I'm like scared to death at this point, right? And it was my friends. They like finally like start screaming and yelling out the windows. I was so scared. Another time, I left my mom's house. Like, I was going from my mom's house to my dad's house, and it was like a Wednesday night, and it was like late. I wasn't going over there. I did something with my friends first. Like, we went to dinner, and then like I got my bag at my mom's house, and I was going over to my dad's house. And I like got at a certain point, and like this car literally followed me out there the whole way. Like, the whole way. I've been followed a lot in my life. Now that is something like not ghost story. I've been followed a lot. And like, that really always creeps me out when I've been followed. But this car literally followed me the entire way to my dad's house almost. And then like even like onto my street and everything. And I don't know if that was the same time. I can't remember. Some of these stories are starting just to merge together because it's been so long. But I think it was the time, like, we used to, I didn't even connect it at the time, right? But we used to always, this was not good, boys and girls, but we used to always, like, our thing was we would take those cones, those orange cones, you know? And then we would, like, we had like 2 of them that we had like stolen, basically. We was stolen, and we would like set them in people's driveways and stuff. And like our friends, we like, oh my god, I totally forgot about this. The friends of mine that are twins, one night we went, I feel like I was on the tail end of this, but we had gotten like all these realty signs, like a lot of them, like 20 of them or something. And so we put them like all in our friend's yard. And so when they woke up, there were like 20 realty signs in their yard. And their dad made them call each realtor to like return the sign. But anyway, yeah. I mean, those are the things you do to your friends, right? So anyway, but it was either the same night, it was a different night. Like I like drove all the way out to my dad's street, and his street is like super dark. And when you go on the street, it's like this like every house is set down because it's like on the lake. So it's kind of creepy anyway. And then you get to the cul-de-sac, and the cul-de-sac's a private drive. So from the cul-de-sac going forward is like, you know, a private drive. And then there are houses on it, but like the street is not lit up. It's super creepy. Well, at the beginning of the cul-de-sac, which looks like just another driveway, I mean, it looks like you're going into a driveway, but you're actually going into a private drive. There was this cone sitting there, and I couldn't drive forward, and this car was behind me. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know if that was that night or not, but that was them again. I didn't even put two and two together with a stupid cone that we like took everywhere with us and would put in somebody's driveway and stuff. So that was another trick that my friends played on me. But one year, I think this was like the year that I graduated from high school or whatever. I think I'll save that story for another night. That was the Ouija board story. Have I told the Ouija board story on here before? It's very long and extensive. Basically, we did the Ouija board this one night, and we did it with my friend and her sister, and then we had another friend of ours. It was like three of us that hung out, and it was like our first year in college together. Well, it would have been the second semester of our first year, because my friend, she went to a semester at Indiana University, and then she moved back up here and went to Indiana University, Purdue University, IUPUI. So anyway, she went to, which is Indiana University, Purdue University at Indianapolis. She went up here with us the second semester, so that was when we were hanging out a lot. But, so maybe it was then or even the following fall, I don't know. But we were all doing the Ouija board. Like, this was like, we got into this really thing where we would like want to do Ouija boards a lot, and we thought it was really fun. And we had seen like the witch board movies. Do you remember those? We got kind of like weirdly obsessed with it for a little bit. I even had this art teacher. She was really into all this crazy stuff, and she really believed in it. And she was always like, you don't ever get contact spirits through what she would call the witch board. You don't ever contact spirits through the Ouija board, because those are like spirits that can't come through on their own. So it's like really negative energy, and you don't want to do that. So you just don't mess with that board, and you can't burn it, and you can't throw it away, and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, I can't remember what you're supposed to do with it. I think you're supposed to bury it is actually what you're supposed to do with that. So I think I saw that in the movie, which that horrible movie. So anyway, we did this. I don't even remember the details of it anymore, but we did the Ouija board one night, and it was, okay, so my friend that had come back from IU, it was she and I, my friend that I had known since kindergarten, her sister, no, her boyfriend and her sister, and it was the five of us. And we did this Ouija board one night, and it started telling this story about this woman whose soul, like, we had to release or something. It started off real innocent. But then it got like, we did it a couple nights. Like, we got really like into it, and we're like, you know, I'm not touching it. Are you touching it? I'm not touching it. And we're like looking under the table, nobody's touching it, and the board, looking, the planchette seems like it's moving on its own and stuff. And it got like really involved, like weirdly involved. And this storyline of this woman, I can't even remember what her name is. It's so weird. Like, I remembered it for the longest time, but so it told us to go to this funeral. It told us to go to this, actually, it's right up here, you guys. I don't know if this, I should go and see while I'm out here. Oh my God, that's so creepy. I can't believe I'm gonna do this. It was at this graveyard right over here. Oh my God, am I gonna really do this? Okay, this is so creepy. So there was this like small little graveyard, and it told us one night, this is the kind of crap that we did, right? So it told us to go to this graveyard and to go see this certain grave Well, we go out there, and there's like a candle lit on this grave, and it had like all this stuff on there, like this note that like had the edges burnt and stuff written on there, and it was like a clue for us. It had like, it was like basically this like Ouija scavenger hunt that we were doing. It was so creepy, but it was supposedly all coming from the spirit, right? Well, my friend and I, the one that came from IU, we believed this hook, line, and sinker. I'm telling you, like, we were scared to death. Like, we were like, I would like take her home, and she'd be like, can you stay the night? And I'd be like, yeah, or you're staying the night with me because I'm not sleeping by myself tonight, because this is when I have my apartment. And so, we were so scared. Oh my God. So then something happened. There was like this really weird smell associated with it. Like if I smell it, I would still like remember it. It's like this like smoky perfume, and it was sprayed all over this paper. There was like these notes that were left at different places for us, right? Well, we were supposed to go out to this like graveyard. And we were supposed to go there one night and do the Ouija board, and we did, and we went out there, and it was like all this stuff happened and like weird stuff. And then it said like, oh, there were like pages from this old catalog of like a casket company. It was like a casket catalog, and there was like notes written around the edges and this really like sketchy writing and stuff, and it smelled like this smoky perfume that was like really gross and whatever. So I don't know what happened, but at some point, like this literally, you guys, went on for like 6 weeks. And we became like kind of weirdly obsessed with the whole storyline and everything of it. And my friend, she figured out somehow that it was our other friend and her sister that were like doing this whole thing, that they were like doing all of this. My friend, she like dressed up, went to a funeral home and acted like somebody had passed away so that she could get a catalog for, I don't even remember where this funeral, or where this graveyard is at now. Well, it would be off of this road. I wonder if it's up here. I feel like it's the next street up. Okay, we're gonna see. Like, none of this was here. This is all housing addition after housing addition after housing addition. Back then, it was just you went up the street, and then like you went up this hill, and to the right was this graveyard. So anyway, it kind of caused a fight between all of us, because we were like really believing it, and it like really was like sketchy and stuff. And then my friend, whose sister was like really the one behind it, she like got real upset one night, was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And she like told us everything. She was like, she got this catalog, we like found it in an old box, and this is like this old woman's perfume that we had, and blah 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 blah, and all this kind of stuff. It was like this really scary, like all of it was just really weird. This is not it, because this goes right into a neighborhood. Yeah, you can't get in there. Oh God, how do you get there from here? They wouldn't seriously take a graveyard away like in Poltergeist, would they? They couldn't do that. Would they do that? But I'm telling you, after that, believe it or not, I did not mess with the Ouija board ever again. I mean, believe the story or not believe the story, I never messed with the Ouija board again. I feel like this is way too far. Like, too far east. Northwest, too far west. Maybe not. Okay, it could be there, but I don't know what this street is. Well, it won't let me get through there anyway. They wouldn't really move a graveyard, would they? this is it. I'm like so creeped. I don't know why. I'll tell you why I'm creeped, because I'm like looking, and look, it's like this white picket fence, and just nothing. Would it be up there? That's a golf club course. I don't remember there being a golf course around here. No, I feel like it was up to the right. Like, this doesn't feel right to me. Oh my God, you guys. There it is. Oh my God. This is it. Oh my God. Look. That was right over there. Was where we did it. That was where we did the Ouija board. Oh my God. Oh my God. I am so creeped out. You guys, my heart literally just oh my God, there's houses all around it looking into that now. My heart literally just like jumped through my chest. Okay, I am going to turn around and I'm going to drive past this again. Do you hear my car creaking? Okay, this time I'm going to... over here too. Oh my God, this is so spooky. Do you see? This is it. That was right underneath that big tree to the right over there. Oh my God. I did not need to find that tonight. I don't know why. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to call my friend tomorrow. I'm gonna have to tell her, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, do you remember that cemetery? Like, it was so weird, like, after that whole thing, like, none of us talked about that anymore. It was almost like there was something to it, like there was something real to it, or it started as something real, but then we never really wanted to talk about it after that. It was so weird. It was so, so weird. But like, I remember my friend, like, okay, so when my friend went, she tried to get this catalog at this, of course I have to set this red light now. I was like ready to go and keep on driving into like civilization. Come on, turn. Okay, it's on yellow, thank God. But I remember when my friend, whenever I get spooked out like that, I just want to be like back in civilization again. I remember when it all happened. My friend who, like, she had gone to, like, the casket company, or, like, it was a funeral home, and she was like, do you guys have, like, a catalog? And, like, they were real weird about it. They wouldn't give her one, of course, because they probably didn't have a catalog, you know? And, or she got something. I can't remember what she got, but anyway, we, like, that's how the whole thing came to an end, because like we like left something, and then like my other friend and her sister didn't know like how it got left, and then they were like, are you screwing us, are we screwing with you? But there was something else in there that happened that they swore they never did, and we swore we never did, and I always thought that maybe my friend did it, but I didn't do it, and they swore they didn't do it, and it was something real weird. I can't remember what it was. And that was when my friend, like the one that I went to like elementary all the way through, she was like, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore, like I'm not messing with this anymore. She got like real weird about it. So I don't know, to this day, it's still weird. Oh God, I've totally got God, that creeped me out. I do not know, like looking at that cemetery, how I went out there in the middle of the night into the Ouija board. And not to mention that when we walked out there, all of us, there was a candle lit on the grave. Can you even imagine? Oh my God. I mean, first of all, listen, when y'all come for me and say I was disrespectful, I was, 19 or 20 at the time. And yes, it was disrespectful. I would never do something like that today. That was totally disrespectful, but God, that's so weird. Well, listen, I think on that note, I'm gonna end things, and I don't want to be in this car alone by myself just talking. I think I'm gonna listen to my audiobook or something so somebody's talking back to me. So I'm gonna get off here now and finish that. Oh my God. That wasn't even a ghost story, and that creeped me out. I guess it kind of was, but anyway, listen, I'm gonna get off here now. I hope you guys are having an amazing Wednesday, unless you have other plans. But like I always say, do not have other plans. Make the most of it. Make the most of your day. Enjoy your day. If you want to hear more stories like that, let me know. Put it in the comment section below. And I wonder what this is. This looks like a huge apartment building or something. But anyway, make the most of your Wednesday. Life is not a dress rehearsal. Do something that you'll look back on in your life and be happy that you did or proud that you did. And, be nice to each other a little bit more each day, Make a food that you haven't had in a long time. I'm craving chili. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day as you start your day, and you tell yourself positive affirmations, and you say, I love you, you're valuable, you're important. And that you do your gratitude list every day and your positive affirmations. And most importantly, make sure that you let somebody else know how important they are to you in your life, and pass it on a little bit. Let them know. Just call somebody up and say, hey, I was thinking of you today. I just want to let you know how much you mean to me. So I love you guys, and thank you for watching my videos. It means a lot to me every single day, and you make a difference in my life. I really, really appreciate it. And I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Bye. Love ya. Love ya.